Hey everyone, say hello. Hey. The final stage. Alright everyone, today we're going to talk about the food. Food is a very important element in human life, and we eat food every day to sustain our life. And when you go into a restaurant, when you sit down, look at the menu, you want to get something very delicious, right? Or when you go to a grocery store, you try to get some ingredient to cook for dinner. Or even you go to a cafeteria and you're waiting in line trying to get something to feed up your empty stomach. But when you are doing all of those activities, have you ever considered about that the food we're eating now, are they so different from the food our ancestors has been eating for thousands of years? And the answer is yes. Why is that? Back in 1980s, when the life science and the biotechnology has been flourishing, a lot of research facilities have conducted biotechnology-based researches, and the result is the genetically modified food appeared in the market. And what is genetically modified food? Well, animals and plants that all have their own genes. Well, what scientists do is they abstract the gene from the animal or the plant, and they merge this gene into another species, which create a new combination that can never occur in the natural crossbreeding process. And what are the benefits of those genetically engineered food, which is called GMO? Well, the first benefit, according to Monsanto, the monopoly of genetic engineering plants, said that plants are more resistant to disease, pests, and weed. So, for example, the corn, which is a very important economic product in agriculture, and corn are very vulnerable to pests and diseases. So, and also corn require a lot of nutrition. And by applying genetic engineering, the corn can be more resistant to disease and also require less nutrition. Also, there will be bigger yield on the genetic modified food crops than the regular natural crops, which will help farmers to use their land more efficiently. There are also genetically modified food that has better texture, flavor, and nutrition in it. And their genetically modified food also have better shelf life for shipping. And most importantly, the GMOs has very critical portion in the sustainable food feeding for the world, which by their meaning, the world hunger problem can be solved by you applying genetically engineered food. And so what are the genetically engineered food in the US market? Well, first of all, corn. Corn is a very important economic product in the agriculture in America, and 88% of corn are genetically modified. And the main purpose of the corn are using to feed livestock. And second is cotton. 94% of cotton are genetically modified, and the cotton seed are used for making vegetable oil, butter. And the last is making chips. Everyone loves chips, right? And also alfalfa. Alfalfa the genetically modified alfalfa was first planted in 2011. Farmers use alfalfa to feed dairy cows, and dairy cows mean source of milk, butter, yogurt, meat, and so much more. Along with the alfalfa, there are also canola, 90%, sugar beets, 95%, squash, 25,000 acres and growing. And in addition, Monsanto is conducting more tests such as apple, banana, blueberry, carrot, cranberry, eggplant, grape, lettuce, onion, pea, pepper, pineapple, plum, tomato, squash, strawberry, sweet potato, tomato, and watermelon, and more are coming. So, how do I know I'm getting a genetically engineered food when I go to a grocery store? Well, the truth is you cannot know, because the U.S. government and FDA does not mandatory labeling on genetically engineered food in the food market. So, according to the New York Times poll, 93% of people saying the food contains genetically engineered ingredients should be labeled and identified. So, why should we be concerned about genetically engineered food? Here's the thing. Although there are many reports stating there's no harm, direct harm that applying to human body, but also, according to Monsanto, the genetically engineered crops have been approved by FDA, USDA, and the EPA, and they claim there's no credible evidence whatsoever that harm has been done to human and animals. However, the commercialization of GMOs has been just 17 years, and some results take a lot longer to be found out and recognized. And here are some more facts that I did research and found out about GMOs. In 2005, a group of Russian scientists announced their research during the American Academy of Environmental Medicine conference. This Russian scientists announced that they study the GMO's impact on human body through rats. And why do they use rats? Because rats share most identical gene with human among all other species in the nature. And what happened here is the rats that are being fed with the genetically engineered soy flour, and the offspring of their female, more than 55% of them cannot live more than 3 weeks. And the other group who are not fed with the genetically engineered food can only 9%. And in the other hand, 36% of genetically modified feed offspring weigh less than 20 grams after 2 weeks, when there's only 6.7% with natural feed rats. So in some similar researches, scientists also realized by feeding GM corn to rats, they will lose ability of reproduction in 3 generations. And the rats' life are so much shorter than human life, so we can easily recognize the impacts on rats in a short period of time, but how about human? And so there will be a lot more study need to be done, and a lot of time need to be put into the research to find out the potential threat of GMOs in our daily dietary system. And there are many independent animal feeding safety studies about GMO has proved that there are unexplained effects. Out of 20 female rats that are being fed with the GM tomatoes, 7 developed stomach lesions, and if this kind of lesion applied to human, it could cause a life-endangering internal bleeding. Livers are very vital organ in the human system. Liver process the toxins in the system and protect our health. And in the rats, some mice being fed with genetically modified soybeans has appeared to have altered liver structure. To human, although the long-term consequence of a genetically modified soybean diet are not known, it could lead to liver damage and then consequently general toxemia. So, and also in other countries there have been numerous research done due to the GMOs on animals. For example, in Scotland, the GM potatoes fed rats showed lower nutritional content and suffer damaged immune system, smaller brains, liver, testicles, and also enlarged intestines. In Australia, a harmless gene in a bean engineered into a pea-produced immune reactions in mice indicating allergic reactions and toxins. In Austria, a government study showed that the mice fed with the genetically modified corn had fewer litters and fewer total offspring. In France, a study found that genetically modified corn previously thought harmless revealed hormone-dependent diseases and an early sign of toxicity rats. So although there's no obvious evidence, according to National Health Interview Survey published in 1999, the number of children with food allergies has jumped by 50%, and those with skin allergies jumped by 69%. The increase of autoimmune disorders such as lupus, leukemia, and stomach disease, all of these could relate to the consumption of genetically modified food. So according to WHO, there are also environmental impacts of GMOs. Say plants are genetically modified, they can outcross their gene into other species that are not being genetically modified, which will cause the hybrid species and also which will unbalance the ecosystem. In 2010, the WHO reported that they have traced the GM-modified corn, which is only approved for livestock feeding, that being identified into some corn products was intended for human consumption. And another environmental concern would be the insect resistant and also the herbicide resistant in plants, and all of these will cause contamination of the environmental and the farming land. So the FDA is supposed to protect the people of the United States of America by providing safety food. However, they do not require any testing on genetic modified food, and also the only studies be done concerning the safety of genetically modified food in the United States of America are the same company who produce them. And when they report to the FDA, they do not have to turn in every data concerning that product. All they need to prove is, first, the food is safety, and the study is adequate. And so, by and large, the genetically modified food safety is self-regulated. My point is the government should enforce the labeling of genetic modified food, and when they're being introduced to the market, they should be limited supply before they can totally understand the influence and impact on human health and the environment. And the government should also require intensive study of GMOs, and to our knowledge, in science research, it takes years or even decades to realize the true information, to get the real information, the facts of some medicine or chemicals in the human system or in the environment. So this should be applied with the genetic modified food as well. And here I'm quoting to the father of a hybrid rice, Dr. Yuan. The impact of genetically modified food will take us more than 2 decades, two generations to comprehend it completely. Before then, study and precaution should be our priority than economic benefits. Thank you very much.